President Paul Biya will be represented at the burial of Chadian President Idris Deby Itno tomorrow by the minister delegates at the presidency in charge of defense, Joseph Beti Asomo, who arrived in Jamina today. Government and the African Development Bank financed the livestock and fish farming value chain development project to the tune of 65 billion CFA francs to guarantee food security and sufficiency in Cameroon. We ring the bell, a wake-up chime to give children with impairments an opportunity to access education. Government liaises with social partners to foster inclusive education in a virtual campaign. Welcome to the 7:30 News.
I urge you once again to put on your face masks, to wash your hands regularly, and to consult a physician or any other health personnel if you notice any symptoms. This is the only way to save lives and to curb the spread of the virus.
The late Chadian President Idris Deby Itno will be laid to rest tomorrow in Jamina. At least 16 heads of states and governments will be in attendance. President Paul Biya is represented by the minister delegate at the presidency in charge of defense, Joseph Beti Asomo, who is already in the Chadian capital. Moki Edwin Kinzika is on special assignments to Jamina and now reports.
A Thursday afternoon, unlike others in Jamina, temperatures are above 40 degrees. Traffic is heavy at the N'Djamena International Airport with the arrival of delegates for the funeral of late President Idris Deby Itno. Chad's state protocol estimates that over 16 heads of state and government will be present. Among them, French President Emmanuel Macron. The minister delegate at the presidency in charge of defense, Joseph Beti Asomo, is at the head of the Cameroonian delegation representing President Paul Biya. Security is watertight in Jamina. Movement is restricted and controlled. Chad's military council that has promised to lead the country for 18 months and hand over to civilian rule is taking no chances. Rebels are threatening, but state security says it is in charge. This Friday, the emblematic field marshal who managed the destiny of Chad for 30 years will be buried in his village at the Amjaras cemetery in the north of Chad after state funeral arrangements in Jamena.
And President Paul Biya's representative, Joseph Beti Asomo, has been granted audience by Chad's Transitional Governing Council, as we should be seen in the pictures, led by Mohamed Idris Deby. During the 20-minute audience, the minister delegate in charge of defense handed over a sealed message from President Paul Biya. This comes at a time when the neighboring country is in brief. Meantime, a delegation of Chadian residents in Logan and Shari Division has obtained the necessary clearance from Cameroonian authorities to travel to Chad for the state burial of late President Idris Deby Itno. The head of the community, Ayub Sakairune, will lead the group following a meeting today to assess the level of preparedness. Ayok John Ashu has the details of that story from Kuseri.
The about 62,000 Chadian residents in Logon and Shari Division are eager to travel home to pay their last respect to their late president. But the community head, Ayub Sakairune, after a meeting with elders, came up with a delegation to represent them.
Some member of our community will travel to Chad with our Cameroonian brothers for the funeral of our president. He was a good leader and had built good relations between Chad and Cameroon.
Meanwhile, the community's imam and pastor prayed for the repose of the soul of the late president and conferred the Chadian nation into the hands of the Almighty. Special sanitary measures to check the spread of the coronavirus are being enforced by security operatives on the common border at Ngeli, which is now open for circulation.
And we continue our half-hour newscast with a sum of 65 billion CFA francs allocated by the African Development Bank to finance the livestock and fish farming value chain in collaboration with governments. The project was launched today by the bank's resident representative and the Minister of Livestock, Fisheries and Animal Industries, Dr. Tiger. Iwan Epole reports on the gesture geared towards checking food security in the country.
Livestock and fish farming value chain development project is expected to last 5 years, financed by the Cameroon government in partnership with the African Development Bank to the tune of 65 billion CFA francs. The project targets cattle, pig and fish sectors.
For the project to reach this stage, it means that it has satisfied all the requirements of quality to have a smooth execution. This is a kind of partnership whereby a public sector project really promotes small and medium-scale enterprise in the livestock sector.
During the official launching ceremony of the project in Yaoundé, the Minister of Livestock, Fisheries and Animal Industries stressed on the need to enhance productivity and competitiveness by working with commercial, industrial and banking institutions, as well as offering opportunities for the creation of companies for young graduates.
We have to produce the agricultural plan and to implement this plan. All the 10 regions are concerned by this project.
The minister also reassured those involved in the agro-pastoral sector that cattle and pig breeds and species with high genetic performance will be provided for them to help boost production.
In one of our top stories, inclusive education, which allows pupils of all backgrounds and conditions to learn and grow side by side, is being nurtured by governments. A campaign dubbed We Ring the Bell, advanced by the Ministry of Social Affairs, is a call for parents who have children with disabilities to send them to school. One inclusive school in Yaoundé is Pro Handicam, which caters for children with special needs. Beatrice Ngum reports on how it functions.
Tomorrow's future is in this classroom. Children with disabilities and children with a sound mind mingling together. A strong lesson to society and kudos to the teaching staff.
From the beginning of the term, we start inculcating in them the notion of acceptance of the other. They are taught that helping or living with the classmate who is disabled is normal.
As children with special needs, they need special services in a special setting with special caregivers.
I tell you, it is difficult. If you can't love, you can't teach here. We have autistic, short of sight, Down syndrome, etc. You have to work with all.
Created in 1975, this association, Pro Handicam, today operates with 12 teachers and 244 disabled and normal kids. The Ring the Bell campaign rekindles their hopes.
This campaign comes to encourage parents to abandon habits like stigmatization, discrimination, and rejection. Some parents are reticent to send their kids to inclusive schools.
The challenge for this inclusive school remains how to get parents move from hiding disabled children at home and how to make those with normal kids change their attitude towards inclusive schools.
And government is supported in the campaign to foster inclusive education by the Cameroon Baptist Convention and other actors involved in social justice and education. The virtual crusade engages decision makers to strengthen their commitment to the education of persons with impairments. The director in charge of social protection of persons with disabilities at the Ministry of Social Affairs, Angelica Ambey, talks on the essence of the choice. Take a listen.
Now we have to do a lot of advocacy. When we say the laws are there for children living with disabilities to be educated, and we have parents and families who have these children and they hide them, the advocacy is first of all that parents who have children living with disabilities should accept it and consider these children like any other child who has the right to education, because we already have inclusive schools, we have specialized teachers who are being trained. We also have the problem of accessibility, that is access to these structures. Good. The Ministry of Social Affairs is there to advocate for the other ministries that are involved in construction and all of that, such that when buildings are being constructed, the handicap approach should be taken into consideration.
Cameroon is leading Africa's efforts to ensure that radio spectrums are properly used ahead of the World Radio Conference in 2023. In a virtual meeting with member states of the African Telecommunications Union, Minister Libom Lilikeng led the choice of recommendations. Top on the list is for the continent to promote broadband services that favor development. Yoti Kalelisonge reports.
Improved satellite services, rural connectivity and better broadband services are the first of a series of proposals made by radio communication experts of the African continent. They were tasked to come up with how to best manage spectrums as technology evolves. At this online meeting, chaired by Cameroon's Minister of Post and Telecommunications, Libom Lilikeng, the key recommendations are adopted with a keen interest in broadband services.
It has been largely due to availability of broadband services that we have been able to work sometimes from home, as connectivity established between homes, mobile terminals and offices.
Through this, Africa will be able to enhance her management of radio spectrums such that users have easy access to quality electronic communication services.
It is about using it such that the citizens of every country, including Cameroon, can derive maximum benefit from its use.
Cameroon's telecommunications boss, in her part, pledges to implement the resolutions and hopes the other ATU member countries do the same ahead of the World Radio Conference in 2023.
And in this development news, the projects under the 3-year emergency plan in Mefu and Afamba Division are being evaluated by the minister delegate at the presidency in charge of public contracts, Ibrahim Talbamala. In Soa, Isse, and Awai, the contractors were urged to respect the terms of the agreement and to speed up the execution. Marie-Claire Do Kwanchua has the details.
Minister Ibrahim Talbamala's first stop this Thursday was at the 49-kilometer Swan Esse construction site, where execution rate stands at about 24.5%. According to the company carrying out the project, effective work started in April 2020 at the 33-kilometer Awai Esse stretch. The company in charge revealed that they also started in April 2020 and are presently at an execution rate of 21% without facilities and 23% with facilities. Again, the late supply of material equally stands as one of the biggest challenges that slows down business.
Let me tell you that we are very satisfied of what happened in this field, because you know that this contract has been abandoned, and then after this one they split it in two, and since April the situation is going very well.
Authorities in the area say the good road network upon completion will stimulate economic and social development.
Cocoa farmers of the Nyong and Kele division of the Central Region have been urged to do even more in order to produce more Grade 1 cocoa for Cameroonian and foreign markets. This was during a ceremony to give premiums to cocoa producers of the division, presided over by the Minister of Trade, Luke Magloa Mbarga Atangana. Clarissa Ray Takan was there and now reports.
There are 255 of them from one farmers' organization in the Nyong and Kele division, who totaled 553 tons, 502 kilograms of Grade 1 cocoa beans during the 2017-2018 season, a performance which has earned them 38,745,140 CFA francs in premiums.
The involvement of the youth in Nyong and Kele division is one of the most active, and I am happy to see that among the beneficiaries of the premium which will be paid today, there are many members of New Generation program.
As quality ambassadors challenged to keep up the good job, more effort is expected from the cocoa growers.
It is important because as villagers, agriculture is our life. We will send our kids to school.
It is an encouragement from the state, especially for the youths. I will invest in it.
However, a halt in the activities of middlemen, proper organization of the cooperatives are amongst the issues producers were urged to deal with in order to keep cocoa production growing in the Nyong and Kele division.
And now on today's obituary, the National Assembly has paid homage to the CPDM member of Bumba and Goko, Honorable Prince Mikodi Gilbert, who died last March. The solemn event was presided over by the representative of the House Speaker, the Senior Deputy Speaker, Honorable Ilariong Etong. This was preceded by the coffining at the morgue of the Yaoundé General Hospital. Details in this report. A candle blown too soon for the adventurous and ambitious Tricenarian, Honorable Prince Mikodi Gilbert. At 32, he had topped the CPDM list in Bumba and Goko to become one of the youngest lawmakers of the 10th legislature. His courage is celebrated by his colleagues of the National Assembly and the elites of the East region, devastated by his premature exit. But his works in Parliament live on.
We regret his loss so much because he's a very young, dynamic man who was very pushful and very active in the Assembly.
In his final entry into the conference center for a parliamentary homage, the spirited and dedicated politician is commended to God Almighty. The mystery of life and death dawns on the mourners who hold fond memories of the deceased.
Within 1 year, he was able to do a lot of things and was able to be at the origin, the creation of a parliamentary network.
Today we have lost a very good member of our commission, sympathetic and responsible.
He was very smart, he was dynamic, and he was especially full of hope, and every single thing he brought up, he made sure he looks at what goes in for the Bumba and Goko divisions.
Honorable Prince Mikodi, the president of the Parliamentary Network for Good Governance in Extractive Industries, receives last respects from the institution. He who walked through the valley of the shadow of death and feared no evil is today driven to his native Mulundu, where he will be interred this Saturday. In another sad note, Frere Nicodem Bo, who passed away on the 31st of March, has been laid to rest today in Kribi. It was an occasion to pay tribute to the author of Oye Aya Maria, as we hear this report from CRTV South.
It was a moment of deep sorrow among the family members, Christians, elite, religious authorities and sympathizers of the Kribi Diocese and its environs who gathered at the Kribi St. Joseph Cathedral to pay their last respect to the late Father Nicodembu, a native of Lambi village in the Ocean Division, South region of Cameroon, died at the age of 92 after serving in Douala, Ebolova and St. Therese L'Enfant Jesus Parish, New Town in Kribi, where he finally finished his call to promote the gospel of Jesus Christ.
He worked very hard for the division, for our country, and we are really sad today. My message is for those who are young priests to follow his path, to be priests among the population, not above or aside, but with us, among us.
In a requiem mass officiated by His Lordship Damas Zinga Atangana, Bishop of the Kribi Diocese, and His Lordship Jean Bosco Ntem, Bishop of Edea, urged the young priest of the diocese to continue to emulate the example of the late Father Nicodem Mbu. Father Nicodem Mbu will be remembered for his contribution in the translation of the Bible in Tungumba and for his song entitled Oyeya Marie.
And tonight we talk about the value of snails. Did you know that snails possess anti-cancer properties and boost the immune system due to their antioxidants and anti-inflammatory effects? Yes, they do. While the snail lime has medical properties and the flesh is rich in calories, its shells are used as decorative objects and incorporated into jewelry. Hannah Ikonde tells us more on the value of snails.
Nutritionists say there are 8 major reasons for people to eat cooked, fried, or grilled snail meat because of its immense nutritional values and health benefits. Snail meat, they say, contains large quantities of calcium, vitamins, proteins, magnesium, iron, and omega-3, which are vital body nutrients. Cosmetologists, on their part, say snail mucin or slime have been used for the fabrication of skincare products over the years. These skincare products, which are sold in pharmacies, super and local markets, come in bathing soaps, body creams and lotions, as well as bath gels, hair shampoos and conditioners, not leaving out face masks. It also provides anti-cancer and cough properties with immune system development and high iron content for blood count and omega-3 that prevents heart attack. Snail shells have also been used to provide vim for doing the dishes and pots and a lot more.
And on to other news, Cameroon joins the world to celebrate the International Secretary Day to raise awareness on the role they play in society. Workshops are being organized to enable secretaries become technologically savvy in the face of challenges like the coronavirus pandemic. Gerard Nanji-Yambe has the details.
The secretarial profession, a long-standing career often relegated to the background by many, is witnessing a paradigm shift with the advent of information and communication technologies.
In the 21st century, you must know how to use a computer. There are so many programs to calculate. It is Excel, words to typewrite, and you must use the internet to send the letters. As a secretary, we must not forget the human part of our job.
Our major challenge is that the profession is static. Secretaries don't benefit from promotions like other professions where you can start low and later on emerge as director.
In order to remain relevant in the face of the digital divide, the Organization of Secretaries and Management Assistants of Cameroon intends to close the gap.
With the arrival of technology, the profession has changed. We have to adapt ourselves to the new dawn.
The organization, with over 30 years of existence, is calling on government to provide adequate technology infrastructure and an enabling environment that will make secretarial job more efficient.
Despite our efforts, COVID-19 plunged many families into mourning and seriously hampered the functioning of our economy and society.
COVID-19 news. Having access to the doses of the Sinopharm and the AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccines available in the country is a preoccupation for the average Cameroonian. The worries about where the accredited vaccination centers are and request that further communication be made by health authorities. Baldwin Sama and his guest, Dr. Eric Tandy, today talk of the criteria considered in the immunization process. Hello, Baldwin.
Good evening to you, Esther Kima. Just like there are those who are very reluctant to have themselves administered any of the vaccines, there are other Cameroonians who are so eager to have themselves administered any of these vaccines available in Cameroon. Is there any particular criteria, or what should they do if they want to have themselves administered any of the vaccines? Let's find out from our guest tonight, Dr. Eric Tandy. Good evening to you, Doctor.
Yeah, good evening, Baldwin.
For any ordinary Cameroonian who wishes to have him or herself administered any of the available vaccines in Cameroon, what should he know, or what should he or she do?
Yeah, Baldwin, what is very important to note is that it's not going to be for everybody, but at least you have to be above the age of 18. And once you are above the age of 18, you have to move to any of the vaccination centers that has been spotted all around the 10 regions of Cameroon. What you need to do is simply go there, and they will do a registration where some questions will be asked, and once you qualify on this criteria, you take your dose and you move on.
So simply above 18, any of the available screening and vaccination centers in the 10 different regions of Cameroon, you can have yourself administered any of the vaccines.
That's right.
Thank you so much, Dr. Evitanzi, for that very, very vital piece of information. It is now clear when you're above 18, you can get to any of these vaccination centers and you have yourself administered any of the available vaccines so as to be part of those to break the contamination chain of the coronavirus in Cameroon. Back to you, Esther Kima.
Thanks very much, Bob and Summer, for that vital information. Let's now talk security. The Army's Chief of Staff, General René-Claude Maker, says the security situation in the East region is under control. He was speaking at the end of a two-day working visit to the East region. Mokom Robadachu tells us more.
The sporadic socio-political unrest in the neighboring Central African Republic necessitates continuous security alert by the Cameroon Armed Forces at the border town of Garabla in particular and the East region as a whole. At the end of his security working visit to Garabla, after a closed-door security meeting with his État-Major from Yaoundé and his collaborators in the East region, the Chief Staff of the Cameroon Army, General René-Claude Maker, described the security situation in Garabla in particular and the East region in general as being under control.
The situation is under control, and we have to strengthen this tendency so that we cannot have any trouble.
Prior to the Garabla security meeting, General René-Claude Maker had the first meeting with East Governor Grigouan Vongo and other top administrators, and yet another one with military personnel at the conference hall of the East Gendarmerie Legion. Both meetings held behind closed doors, certainly to develop strategies to maintain the peace and tranquility that reigns in the East region as a whole.
Over in the Littoral region, the Thursday cleanup campaign in the city of Douala has become a tradition for most traders and shop owners. The decision taken by the governor of the Littoral region, Samuel Jodene Vahadiwa, is however disregarded by a good number of roadside vendors. Alphonse Abongwa reports on the implementation of this hygiene and sanitation drive.
It was supposed to be generally a busy atmosphere, with both merchants and denizens of Douala out on the streets with clean-up tools, clearing gutters and other public spaces of weeds and filth. But the decision by Littoral Governor, instituted a year back, is in partial application by many. In the Mbopi market, for example, the main entrance remained closed and the majority of shops locked, but roadside makeshift sheets are fully operational. No proper clean-up exercise is in view at about 9 a.m., time of this report. The environment is not generally filthy, but not also neat. We are told workers of the hygiene and sanitation company Zakam have been earlier on, and now only workers of the Douala 3 municipality were noticed doing some cleanup. The main market in the Douala 2 municipality this Thursday morning has been operational as if the cleanup Thursday was dissolved. It's been generally observed that most people, like merchants, keep their shops locked on the expiring time to reopen without showing up in the morning to ensure the environment is clean.
Be all for this edition of the 7:30 News, in which you heard that President Paul Biya will be represented at the burial of Chadian President Idris Deby Itno by the minister delegates at the presidency in charge of defense, Joseph Beti Asomo, who arrived in Jamina today. During an audience granted him by Mahamad Idris Deby, he handed over a sealed message from President Paul Biya. More news comes up at 8:30 p.m. with Adan Bara. Tomorrow, you'll be in the company of Ben and Bumagana. I'll be back on Monday. God willing, have a beautiful weekend and stay protected from the coronavirus. Good night.
I urge you once again to put on your face masks, to wash your hands regularly, and to consult a physician or any other health personnel if you notice any symptoms. This is the only way to save lives and to curb the spread of the virus.
CRTV News, ici, toute l'info.